Well, The Flash in '08 aired tonight, the last episode for 3 weeks, and it supposedly is the last interlude of the season. Thank God. um, this was a train wreck. I mean, this episode it was okay. It wasn't really that much of a train wreck, but it was boring. Like, okay, the first thing that caught my attention was Barry has not been in the Flash suit since 905, which was, what, 5 weeks ago? But instead of putting him in the Flash suit this episode, they decided to put him in a rip-off Star Wars Flash suit with the Flash emblem on it and call that a suit. So, which I get, they were like, time travel or whatever. However the hell that even resulted to time travel, that made no sense. Wouldn't they be like a different reality, right? Not time travel? But whatever. Lady Chronos was the villain this episode. We didn't meet her till the last 10 minutes, and then she was gone 2 minutes later. Which is something. We were in a time loop, so that was wrong. And it wasn't because Iris's decisions either, which was good, There was plot, though, for Iris to where something about something. I'm not going to lie to you, I lost a lot of interest in the first, 10 minutes. And whenever it came to Iris and she was talking about how, this sucks and this sucks and this sucks, okay, I'm done. I did not pay attention at all to Iris episode, really. I lost so much interest. The only part I really paid attention to was Barry. Tristan and Allegra said they love each other. Spent 10 minutes on that. Literally, that's all that happened in this episode. That's the only important thing was Barry, and even then, he wasn't really that good as an episode either. I'm not saying Grant wasn't good. He was. He's always good. But, I mean, Barry's story was not that good. Iris' story was the same bulk I've been getting since, season 7. And, season 9, I guess, but season 7 was it's just a whole mess for Iris. And it's we need to get out of this loop of giving Iris the same condescending BS stories. I don't want to see that in 909. I know we're going to, because Iris is in it. Although she's probably passed out in 909 because she's being affected by butterwork. So we don't have to deal with Iris that much in 909, which I think is worth it at this point. But look, 3 weeks. I think it is worth it, because this means we're done with the crappy interludes. This is easily the worst group of interludes we've had since season 7. Which I know was 2 years ago, or I guess 3, right? Because we had a lot of breaks since then. But, I really was hoping that the season 9 interludes would be like season 8's interludes, or they're connected to a plot. And the thing is, 907 could have been related to Cobalt Blue. 908 could have been related to Cobalt Blue. But they decided to take a different route and say, hey, here's 2 random villains to have something to do with different realities, different timelines. Why don't you just tease Cobalt Blue? Say you're sending Cobalt Blue here, you're sending these villains in to test Team Flash. You could have teased that in 906. That would have made the episode 100 times better. Put that one scene in, it would have worked. That's how you could have made these interludes better. Tie it into the next big story. 906 could have not even featured Grant in it, and it still would have been good. They could have done something related to Red Death, how the city's still in chaos and Cecile's trying to get the rogues behind bars. They could have done that. They could have tied up all the rogues that Red Death had, right? They could have had mentioning that Team Flash's rogues having an immunity deal or something like that for helping save the city. They could have easily had done that. Instead of, don't get me wrong, 906 wasn't okay-ish episode. I love seeing Becky again. And I wouldn't take that back for anything, because I think they redeemed Becky Sharp in that episode. But at the end of the day, I think what we're really dealing with here is the last 3 episodes of The Flash, including 908, have either been boring, useless, or stupid. None of them were all 3. I think 906 was stupid. 907 was, well, no, 906 was useless. 908 was boring. 907 was kind of useless because, again, it was a repeat of 901, but with Iris and Dreamer. The only one that got something out of 907 was Dreamer. And even then, it wasn't like a giant thing that we were dealing with. Like, how are we this far into The Flash and we're stuck with interludes that make zero freaking sense and have nothing to do with anything? Like, you guys know, if you've been watching my content for a while, you know I love Season 8. It's one of my favorite seasons of the show. I know it is for a lot of you. Eric Wallace showed what he can do in Season 8. He proved in Season 6A. And we all thought Season 6B was bad because of COVID, and it was. And then Season 7 came along, like, oh, COVID, and it's like some Lois came out. It's like, oh, that's not true. And it's just Nate. And it was like, oh, they stepped it up, you know? Eric Wallace had to prove himself here. And then Season 9, I was excited for Red Death, and they wasted her on the Rogues. For 3 episodes, we spent on Rogues, 2 on Red Death, and 3, right? 3, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, 3 on Team Flash and Barry not actually being the Flash at this point. Now, look, I don't have a problem with Barry not being the Flash. I don't. My problem is that they keep focusing on Team Flash and the episodes not being good. If they want to do that, make the goddamn episodes good. Don't waste it on useless crap that we don't care about. Like, Chester tells Allegra that he loves her and is spending 10 minutes on Allegra talking to Cecile about how she feels the same way but doesn't know how to say it back. You're not a teenager. You're an adult. I'm 19, about to be 20 in like 5 months. I've been there. But I'm not in a relationship either, but you don't see me spending 10 minutes talking about how I love someone and I won't say it. Like, no, you don't see me doing that. What you see me doing is Chester and Allegra's story is like, it was good and I didn't mind it. Well, it wasn't good, I guess, but I didn't mind it. But now it's like, do we absolutely freaking need it right now? I don't think we do. I get them setting up since like Season 7 when Allegra came on board, or even before then, but when them two started getting scenes together, they were setting it up. They could have started all this last season. I mean, they could have done all this. The only reason Season 9 is even a final season, the only reason people are still watching it right now is because of 909. That's the only reason. When Season 9 is done, we're going to look back on this season and say 909 through 913 were the best episodes of the season. 909 is the best episode of the season. And probably of the damn series at this point. Like, Red Death could have been a Zoom level threat. But they made a joke out of her and said, let's focus on the Rogues and make them more dangerous than Red frickin' Death and make it from another timeline. What is this season, Eric Wallace? I have massive respect for you after what you did for Season 8, and I love what you did in Season 8, besides some minor missteps here and there, which even Todd had way more. But, I mean, come on. Let's get some stories done. Not focus on 20,000 different arcs. We shouldn't be doing that right now. Cobalt Blue, as I said already, could have been in 906. Could have been in 907. Could have been in this episode. Setting up like, hey, this is Red Death or Cobalt Blue's power. He can change realities. He can change timelines. He can change every possible thing to make Team Flash do what he wants. But instead, they just said, let's bring in three time reality shifting villains and have nothing to do with them. That is ridiculous. And frankly, what we need to be dealing with is we need to move on to Cobalt Blue. Now, 909, and this is not confirmed, but some people have been saying that 909 is not related to Cobalt Blue. Or, it is related to Cobalt Blue, and some are saying it's not. We don't know what it is. As far as I'm aware, Eric Wallace has not said anything was an interlude or not. We don't know. And we won't know if the Eric Wallace tweets, which I'm sure he will over the week. But 909 will most likely not be part of the Cobalt Blue story. I don't see it being that way. Because the Spectre is in this episode. He shows up as the Spectre. We saw that in the trailer that we got today, that I did a full breakdown over. You know, like we know he's a Spectre. And he's going to appear as Green Arrow for whatever reason. At the end of the day, Cobalt Blue can be in 909, but frankly, I wouldn't care one bit. Because 909 is for the Arrowverse fans to get what we want done. And we're going to get it done. We're finally going to get that last bar scene between Barry and Oliver that we've been wanting for years. You know, since Crisis. We didn't get one in Crisis, depressingly. And we are really, truly going to get all of that done. And that's what needs to be focused. I would really like to see, Cobalt Blue brought up. Like maybe Oliver warns Barry, like, hey, Cobalt Blue's coming and that's what we're dealing with here. But I don't know. I do think that Oliver, if he is a Spectre, and I am right about that, which I do 100% believe I am, wouldn't it make much more sense if Oliver was like, hey, there's this threat coming, you need to be prepared, let's deal with Bulwark, and I will warn you about the threat. Because, remember, in 2049, in the Earth-Time comics that are canon to the Arrowverse, the Spectre warned the League and Barry that a threat was coming that's more powerful than anything of our face. I'm pretty sure that's Cobalt Blue. And this would be a perfect way to set it all up. Let me know your thoughts Let me know your thoughts about 908 in the comments down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good day. Have a good night. Stay safe. And I'll see you guys next video. Bye, guys.